the Stangelwirt, one of the world's most famous resorts in the Alps in Austria. And Elisabeth, maybe you would like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, it's a pleasure for me to be here and to talk about our family business here with you and about a little bit about my person.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Hauser family. The Stangelwirt is family-owned. It's a family-owned hotel in the Tyrolean Alps. And my part of the family here at the Stangelwirt is I'm the director of the Human Resource Department, Finance and Administration, so everything which is in the back of house I'm responsible for.
Okay, you had also some changes in the hotel. The next generation is in the management already, and so here my first question to you. How did you become this person where you are today?
So we know the hotel business from the beginning on, since we were little children. And the next generation, me and my siblings, I have a brother and a sister. We are all working for the hotel. So in fact, it was an advantage to grow up here in the hotel, and it was always very funny because we had all the facilities. It was always holiday for us. Next to school, we were able to swim with our friends. After my A-levels, I started to study at the Management Center Innsbruck tourism industry. And my father asked me, are you ready to come home? And then I started as an assistant in the administration, so I also did like the normal way up.
So where do you see the biggest differences, how female lead in comparison to male leaders?
We are so much more into emotions, so that is a big advantage of female leadership, but it's also sometimes we should put our emotions beside. And that's how we can learn from each other. I mean, male leadership, they are very strong, they know what they want, they are sometimes more efficient in their way, how they do it. Yeah.
That's good to know. What would you tell young female leaders to inspire them and also to encourage them on their career path?
So what I learned is I had sometimes really bad former chefs. And that's what in this situation I was sometimes devastated what my development will be with bad chefs. And the thing is, what I want to tell female leaders, stay strong and think about what you want.
Hello, Maria.
Hello.
So you're one of the next generation in leadership from the owner family at the Stangelwirt.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me for the interview here today. Maybe you would like to introduce yourself, also your position, and what are your main stuff, what you're doing here in the Stangelwirt.
Yeah, thank you for the interview. Thank you for coming and for being here. And I'm very grateful to have the chance to talk to you and to young leaders, female leaders in the future. My responsibilities are mainly marketing and PR, wellness and spa, the hotel shops, and the social events at the Stangelwirt.
Maybe this is the next question. What is interesting for our young female leaders? What would you tell them, the young female leaders, to inspire them on and encourage them on their career path?
You have to believe in yourself. Also, if you find yourself in a round where they're all men, I've been there and I didn't dare to say a word because I thought, okay, I don't know if I can say that. And you have to really believe in yourself and just go for it. And I think that's very, very important. I think this empowerment, also that we women empower each other, I think that's very important. And if you look at politics or at economy, you see that more and more the female leaders are coming, you know.
That's right.
And I think the time for women is there now, to show what they're able to do.
Yeah, having your personal career in mind, what is your biggest learning you would like to share?
Say what your inner feeling tell you, because I had one situation where a guest that we have done everything for has become really below the the line,
yeah.
and he has really it made me sad what he said about it was about the hotel and the family, and I should be ashamed for what we do because we cannot we cannot satisfy his requests. So and after all we have done for him, I said, what you said to me now really hurts my feelings. You can stay as long as you. I didn't kick him out of the house, even though he really. I could have done that, because of what he said, and this is such a really touching story, because what was the outcome was that half a year later, this guest drove by the Stangelwirt again, and he stood outside at the front desk and asking for me, and I went there and I saw him, and he's like, do you still remember me? And I'm like, of course I remember you. And he was like, what you said to me half a year ago when we met, I was in such a bad mood because I had such a terrible business day, and one of my biggest deals went down. And I was just in a very bad mood, and I shouldn't have given this mood to you, and you were kind of my victim on that day.
Okay.
But what you said to me, I never forgot that, and every time when I drove by your hotel, I was like, oh my God, I have to go and apologize. And it was one day before Christmas when he stood there to apologize, and he's like, it's Christmas and I hope you accept my apologies. And I think this is was one of my biggest learnings.
Especially for the young women, so we speak about female leadership, and for the young women, they still have their career path ahead of them. So I'm sure it is very inspiring to learn from successful female leaders.
Well, I had a very goal-oriented education because my father already expected me, due to the fact that he had no male successors, to take over his business.
Okay.
And so I had to present in the school always at my report a so-called distinction Auszeichnung, which meant that your marks have not to be below 1.5, which means you have to be very excellent in school. And then after this, well, I did my school with the distinction and with a greatest award. So then I studied economy also in the minimum part-time, because this was all the conditions sine qua non.
Okay, wow.
But then in 1973, shortly after I had finished my studies, I got married to the owner of the Sacher Hotel, Peter Görtler. In 1975, I had my first child, and in all these years, my husband had a big problem, because he didn't want to accept that his wife was working in his father-in-law's company. So this was a difficult situation for me. And in 1983, I got divorced. 7 years later, the father of my children passed away. And according to his last will, I had to take over the Sacher. because my children were not yet grown up. They were quite small. And this was a start for getting offered a big number of chances and the beginning of getting more and more well known in the public. Well, I think the most important thing is you have to believe in your abilities.
Okay.
You have to define what are your strengths and to find out, but also define your weaknesses, because you have to find the right people to compensate your weaknesses. If you don't know what you are not good at and you think you know everything, I think that's a big mistake. You have to be ambitious, somehow restless. And I think very important is the amount of energy you show, because if you have energy, you're able to reach your goals. Nevertheless, sometimes I was working very, very hard. I forgot about myself, and I know we have to find also the time to regenerate sometimes in order to define a situation, to see it from a bigger distance. Because then it's more, you're not so much involved and you see the bigger aspect then, you know?
So how do you become the one you are today?
Let me take you back to when I was myself studying at Hotelschool, The Hague, which is a while ago. So as I was studying there, I got really interested in learning and development. And as part of the curriculum, the students will know this, we are asked to lead first-year students. And as I was doing that, while I was in my third year, one of my instructors asked me if I wanted to support them and become part-time part of their team, because they said I had a natural talent for leading others and training people. So I took this opportunity. I got my feet wet in that space, and I really enjoyed it.
Maybe let me ask you also the question, do you see some differences between female leaders, especially to male, comparison to male leaders? Do you think there are differences?
Oh, that's a tough question.
What is your what have you seen in the past, maybe, or on the way where you got this where you are right now?
When I look at the female leaders I've had in my past, I've been lucky to have very strong female leaders as a role model. I think what I've seen from them is that they are able to be strong and professional and successful, while at the same time being vulnerable at times as well, and humble. And what I've noticed in the past few years is that men are starting to see that behavior, and they are starting to mirror that as well. So also being a little more vulnerable and humble, and understanding that that's not a bad thing to do and not bad behavior to demonstrate, but it actually makes you more human and helps you build relationships and trust with your team and across the organization. So I wouldn't want to say it's a big difference, but I think that's one of the things I've seen actually grow more on the same level over the past few years, that I think is very, very exciting, and going against the stereotypes of the differences between men and women. Yeah.
What would you like to tell young female leaders to inspire them, especially on their way, and to encourage them on their career path?
Even if you fail, failure is not rejection, it's redirection to me. So it means that maybe it's not the right time, maybe something better will come your way, but see everything that happens, especially the not so nice things, as an opportunity to learn. I think we've gotten really afraid of failing. Well, in reality, it's how we learn and how we evolve. So we should really be happy about failure. You know, if a kid learns how to ride a bike and they keep falling down, they don't say, oh, bike riding is not for me, I will never learn how to do it. No, they get up, they try again.
Okay, great to hear. Yeah. And is there something else you would like to share, especially also something like what is the biggest learning you would like to share in your career?
Try to surround yourself with people that cheer you on, but also can challenge you when needs be. At Expedia, I'm super lucky to work with so many diverse people with different perspectives, different background, different experiences. And a lot of those people, they always cheer me on and motivate me to do the best I possibly can.
Okay.
And at the same time, they are also able to challenge me sometimes and say, you know, have you looked at it from this perspective? Because there's another angle here that I think you're missing. And to me, that's really valuable. So surround yourself with people that can do that and that have similar values as you have.